Euromax highlights in today's show. Sleeve art sensation. Photo portraits using album covers are an internet hit. Thighs the limit. The latest footwear fashion is eye-catching boots. Vacation villages, creating the illusion of the traditional alpine hamlet. Euromax highlights. And here's your host, Robin Merrill.
And a very warm welcome to the show. To be a performer in musical theatre nowadays, you have to be able to sing, dance and act as well. This year, Germany's most important competition for singers, the Bundeswettbewerb Gesang, concentrated on this style of singing. Nearly 200 singers battled it out for the coveted first prize in the musical category, and we followed one of the finalists, Julia Gamez-Martin, from here in Berlin.
Berlin's Friedrichstadtpalast. Those who are allowed to hit the stage at one of Europe's largest revue theaters have reached an important stage in their careers, like the 16 finalists for Germany's national singing competition. 3 days earlier, Julia Gamez-Martin from Berlin qualified for the final. She's been in the competition twice before, but each time she lost out in the semi-finals. The young singer studies musical theater at Berlin's University of the Arts.
When I was 9, I saw a musical that nowadays we would describe as awful. It was entitled Shakespeare and Rock and Roll and had cover songs and stuff like that. I was such a fan that I told my mother 5 times that I had to be in it too. So I wrote a letter, I was just 9, and I wrote, "I'd love to be in it. Isn't there a role for me?" And they wrote back this serious letter that said, "We're sorry, but there aren't any kids' roles in the piece. You can study musical when you grow up." I took that to heart because I thought it was so great. And I thought, musical, I'll study that.
Participants had to prepare 17 pieces for the competition, a repertoire of 45 minutes. A jury then chooses 3 or 4 of those pieces for the final round.
I didn't ruin anything. I stepped on my own foot once, but I think that a lot of them thought it was part of the act. But it wasn't. My toes still hurt. But I was just really relieved and happy that I was able to stand up there despite my excitement and have some fun.
The final minutes before going on stage. For all the participants, this is the moment when the tension becomes almost unbearable. The national singing competition is an important event for any singer. Those who make it into the final round catch the eye of the movers and shakers in the world of musical theater. If you win, you're practically guaranteed a contract at a theater in addition to the prize money.
The group of young singers at this competition was the best I've ever seen. I think that they're proof that musical theater is on its way back up, that it isn't dead.
On the day of the final, the 11 members of the jury make their decision. The winner in the category musical?
Erster Preis in Höhe von 5.000 Euro. Julia Gamez.
She took the laurels. So what's next? Julia says she wants to complete her studies first. After that, she's certain to have a bright future in the world of musical.
And here's another singer, and one with a very distinctive voice, Mick Hucknall of Simply Red. Actually, it's me, of course, but I've just been indulging in what's called sleeve facing, which is rapidly becoming very popular on the internet. It's really just having fun with old album covers and creating an optical illusion. A British DJ started it all off, so we went to visit him.
There's more to this Elton John record than meets the eye. Sleeve face gets pop stars like Elvis Costello doing the housework and makes Barbra Streisand look positively inhuman. Sleeve facing involves holding an album cover over your face and matching it in with, say, your shoulders or torso to create a visual illusion. Its inventor, Carl Morris, has now collected some of the best examples in a book.
It's interesting because you can see sleeves that you've seen before in a new way. So the sleeve is 12 inches by 12 inches, but it's about what happens outside the sleeve.
Everyone can try sleeve face. All you need is a record sleeve and a camera. And hey presto, you too can be a rock icon.
If you're a beginner, it's good to get sleeves that have just got large heads on the cover, just very simple. But almost anything that's got a human can be done in some way.
28-year-old Carl lives in Cardiff, Wales. He and his friends are always on the lookout for promising record covers they can sleeve face with.
That is a good one.
It was Carl's love of vinyl that first gave him the idea. One evening, about 2 years ago, he was DJing in a bar. Just for fun, he held up a record from his collection of over 8,000 albums in front of his face, while friends took his picture. He loved the effect, and now it's caught on all over the world.
Oh, I love it. It's amazing.
I think it's a breath of fresh air, to be honest. It's kind of like, when you gave us this magazine, we were kind of a bit like sleeve face, and then it suddenly comes alive as we flick through it. It's really, really cool.
They're quite humorous, but I think there's another level to them, and that's why they work. I think everybody wants to aspire to be someone else.
Carl Morris started posting the images on the internet, and suddenly everyone was doing it. With the help of social networking sites like Facebook and Flickr, sleeve facing turned into a global phenomenon. Carl went on to set up the Sleeve Face website.
It was interesting to see what people did, because sometimes people emphasize the clothes that they wear, or often there's people who are really good at taking photographs, so they take photographs which improve the idea, or they expand what's possible with the idea.
The possibilities are endless. Sleeve faces are becoming increasingly original and increasingly clever.
Sleeve face is fascinating because it's visual and children can understand it, adults can understand it. It works across borders.
Sleeve face works best when it isn't taken too seriously. So music fans, take cover.
Great. That's one trend that professional trend spotter and fashion guru Lee Edelkoort couldn't possibly have predicted in 2009, but she's actually made a very successful career of doing just that. She predicts what's going to be all the rage in the future for top firms and commercial businesses. And at the end of last year, we asked her for some general predictions for 2009. Let's see how she did.
This is Lee Edelkoort in Milan just over a year ago. The Italian fashion capital was just one of the cities in which the trend researcher presented her predictions for 2009. But did they come true?
Very important will be this coming spring, summer, an idea of rural and pastoral clothes, sort of country clothes, but very pretty and very embellished.
Less than a year later, models in clogs and pinafores strutted down a straw-covered runway at the Paris Fashion Week. With his collection for Chanel, Karl Lagerfeld looked like he'd taken Edelkort's prediction to heart. And the trend towards country-style clothes could be witnessed in stores too. We're convinced and give the trend spotter a score of 80%.
I believe that we will integrate gardens and inner spaces and rooftop gardens into our everyday life. Definitely in the city we will discover the roof. Definitely we will start looking at hot houses and glass houses, I think, to also have winter gardens. There will be follies, there will be an integration of the garden also in the interior.
In the summer of 2009, plants and gardens are a major feature in the apartments of big city dwellers. And vertical gardens are also beginning to get off the ground. The sky's the limit when space is at a premium. So Lee Edelkort's prediction gets a 70% rating.
I believe the new pink is yellow, or all tones of yellow. And when I say yellow, it's not just, you know, in-your-face yellow. It is all the yellowish, orangey tones. A sort of warm climate, definitely a Van Gogh moment.
Starting in the spring, yellow could certainly be found in the nation's department stores. But is it the trendy color? Yellow's hard to mix and match, and in winter it can make people look pale. Only chic when used as an accent, yellow was pretty much absent from the catwalks too. So we give Lee Edelkort just 30% for that prediction.
Sustainability in the future will be required of anybody, everywhere. It will be written by law, it will be a given, it will have to be embedded in whatever we do. There's no way about it. So, although today it sounds ridiculously far away, I think we are moving there in the next 10 years.
Designer furniture made from cardboard boxes, shredded files, and old pallets. These pieces are made entirely from old paper that's been sorted by color. It's so hot that even actor Brad Pitt bought some at a design trade fair in Basel last June. Recycling is an important trend, so Lee Edelkort scores 90% for that prediction. Even if not all her predictions became major trends, our little test shows she was generally on the right track. And who knows, maybe some of the trends which never really took off this year will become big hits in 2010.
One thing we didn't ask Lee Edelkort about was boots. Well, you can't ask all the minute details of fashion. She's an expert on general trends. Anyway, thigh boots are back. Originally a men's fashion centuries ago, just think of the Three Musketeers. We are, of course, talking about the resurgence of women's thigh-length boots. Having had a slightly dubious reputation in the past, today they're considered very chic.
Self-confident, spirited and elegant. That's the image being portrayed on international catwalks right now. The latest collections by star designers like Jean-Paul Gaultier, Roberto Cavalli and Gucci all feature thigh boots. They are the big attraction this season. Thigh boots are shaking off their disreputable image and making it onto the catwalk.
Thigh boots can be worn for every occasion these days. It's the design that's important. Do they have heels? Are they platform boots? Are they flat? What kind of leather are they made of? Louis Vuitton have thigh boots made of brocade fabrics, which are very opulent and obviously only suitable for parties. But Prada have modelled theirs on angling boots. People who are brave enough could wear them for everyday occasions.
Prices for the new boots start at €100. Thigh boots are no new invention. They were originally designed not as a fashion object, but for very practical purposes, believe it or not.
Since time immemorial, people have used leather to protect their legs. Thigh boots first came into fashion during the Renaissance, in those days for men. Today, fashion designers are using them to create the power look.
Whether in suede or in smooth leather, flat or high-heeled, elegance is a must for the new power look. Everyone has an opinion on the boots, but so far it's only the braver ones that are wearing them.
Women who wear thigh boots are more confident.
They look a bit loose and cover up the calves, which are otherwise very attractive.
They look sexy.
I don't like them much. They look slightly erotic to me. I think they're cute.
Try 'em.
A slightly erotic look. That was what once made the thigh boots a fetish object with a questionable reputation.
In the 1980s, thigh boots were considered vulgar, and there's no question where that came from. Everyone has this image of women on the street in patent leather boots with high heels and platforms.
That was the image cultivated by Julia Roberts in the 1990 movie Pretty Woman. But 10 years later, fashion-conscious stars like Victoria Beckham also started wearing thigh boots in public, along with supermodel Claudia Schiffer and later on singers Rihanna and Madonna. In 2007, Madonna modeled her own fashion collection in thigh boots. And in her latest video, Celebration, she dances in lace-up boots by French designer Christian Louboutin.
You wanna dance? Come join the party, yeah.
But today, thigh boots are no longer the preserve of glamorous celebrities. Paired with close-fitting jeans, short skirts, or leggings, the possibilities for everyday wear are endless.
There's a rule of thumb. The clothing should always go a little way over the boots. It's okay to show a little skin, but it's nicer if you only flash a little skin when you sit down. Otherwise, the hem should be a little over the boot, so that this power look really works.
One trend, many different looks, combined with a dress, shorts, or skirt. Thigh boots have become a legitimate fashion accessory for the high street and even for the office. And why not for men as well?
Now we're off to the Alpine slopes of Austria, just south of Salzburg. And if you've ever wanted to stay in one of those cosy wooden Alpine cottages, this is for you. Unfortunately, such houses are mostly privately owned, but an enterprising hotelier in the Austrian mountains has joined others and built his own picture postcard village for that perfect cosy winter break.
16 alpine huts with traditional wooden carvings and inscriptions built from century-old pine. But the old-world charm is artificial. The Priestereg Mountain Village is, in fact, a brand-new hotel complex. A night's stay in a chalet costs 185 euros per person. Breakfast is prepared while the guest sleeps. There's also a wellness program with the option of a massage and a sauna next door. Travel experts say it's a concept destined to succeed.
The old mountain villages, which still exist, of course, have not really been developed for tourism. They're still private homes. And so the idea is to create a mountain village for guests with hotel service and a perfect infrastructure that offers all the comforts of the 21st century.
Christian Böhm's wife has also booked into the Priestereg Hotel to check it out for herself. The latest technology is combined with 19th century decor. The water comes directly from a natural spring. It's like taking a holiday in a museum.
We're city folk and live in a modern apartment. Our son is fascinated by the place. The pull-down lights, the wooden door latches, and he thought it was fantastic that he could light the fire himself. You do learn about tradition and culture here, traditional Austrian customs.
The hotel complex was developed by Hubertus Oberlader. His family has lived in Priesteregg for more than 200 years. He actually appreciates things that are genuinely old, but says he built the complex to allow others to take part in the traditional Austrian way of life.
We live on the farm. On Sundays, we really enjoy having breakfast outside. We want to do that for guests, too, so they can be closer to nature. Renate and I love to be outside. We'd like to pass that on to our guests so that they can learn to take in nature again.
In the evenings, the complex really comes into its own, as the Priesteregg Hotel provides the perfect illusion of old-world charm.
And we end the programme like a good meal with a classic German schnapps, something this country is famous for, and indeed the German name has been adopted into the English language. There are thousands of schnapps distilled here, but some of the best are created by a former art professor and publisher who's made his hobby into a business.
The climate near Lake Constance in southern Germany is ideal for growing fruit. This is where Christoph Keller makes his top-quality schnapps.
Today we're distilling Pinot Meunier grapes. I'm always quite excited when I distill a new fruit variety, because you never know how it will turn out. If you have been a publisher, the first thing you do before you do anything else is read 10 books. That helps prevent things going really wrong. You also have to remember that distilling is not witchcraft.
Witchcraft it may not be, but it is a science. Keller uses chemical enzymes to make his schnapps. It's just one of the reasons why he's won so many prizes.
We usually store our distillates for at least 1 year at room temperature in glass containers. This is walnut, for example. This is very special indeed. It already has a round taste, but it will stay here for another 6 months.
Keller taught himself the business and likes to have a hand in everything. He even designs his own labels. His schnapps is only available online and costs about €50 a bottle. Gourmet restaurants and schnapps connoisseurs are among his customers. A well-known customer is the German artist Jonathan Mese. As a former publisher, Keller is well acquainted with art. He used to produce 3 new books a week and was responsible for over 500 during his career. But he no longer has time for that, preferring to take care of just a few exclusive art folios from artists he knows personally. Publishing has become a hobby second to his real calling.
It wasn't always like that. In the past, when I published a new book from an artist, people would say, "Oh, that's nice," and they would just put the book in their pocket. Today, when I say I've just distilled a new schnapps, they come running to me and say, "Give it to me."
That's what it's like whenever Keller travels around the country. He's been invited to an exhibition in Düsseldorf entitled Eating the Universe, Food and Art. His job is to provide schnapps. Thanks to his publishing background, Keller knows the art scene inside out. He can spend hours philosophizing about schnapps, just like he could about art in the past.
I think it's been the common perception for the last 10 or 15 years that you should hold the glass here, but that's humbug. Hold the glass any way you like. Sometimes I feel like a missionary for schnapps in Germany.
One of Christoph Keller's goals is to encourage the planting of forgotten fruit varieties like quince, the European cornel, or the sloe.
My vision is to be able to capture the sensory essence of the land the fruit is grown on and the entire life cycle of the fruit tree or plant in one swallow of schnapps.
Cheers.
Gut. Zum Wohl.
And don't forget, you'll find some of these reports and many more from Euromax on YouTube. Just type in Deutsche Welle English and the choice is yours. That's all for now, though, so bye-bye.